Welcome to Heart Mindify. Before we start the show, just a reminder to share, rate, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to it. And please give us a 5-star rating. It helps us beat the big tech algorithms.
I'm John Izzy. Change can be difficult for a lot of us, but when we understand what makes us tick, we develop a better understanding of who we are and begin a journey of discovering our best self. Join me for a free session at johnizzy.com.
And I'm Kim Cordy, creator of the Emotion Chef Framework, an emotion management tool. Thoughts drive emotions, and emotions drive thoughts, but it's our emotions that drive our decisions and behaviors. Find out more at kimcordy.com.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Knowing each other personally and socially for the past 10 years, Kim and John have joined forces, bringing years of experience and training, providing a platform for growth and personal development, along with a little humor. John is the heart, Kim is the mind, and together they are Heart Mindify. Hello, Kim. Happy Wednesday to you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Feeling
Awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Great weather. Just great days. My dogs have been excessively cute lately. I don't know what's getting into them. I'm like, how can you get cuter? And yet they do.
I know. Isn't it great?
I know.
They are just, Julie was saying last night, my sister Julie was saying last night that when I leave the house, Blue sits on the chair next to the front window, and she's there the whole time unless Julie goes upstairs. If Julie goes upstairs, Blue follows her upstairs. But if Julie comes downstairs, she goes right to the chair. Julie says, all she does is look for you. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet.
Fiona is similar. If one of us are gone, she'll hang around with me. Like she was just here in the office with me, but for the most part, she sits in a chair waiting. Either that or she's protecting. I don't know which one.
Our pups miss us when we're not there.
We love
That's
our
a good
pups.
thing.
I miss my pups when I'm not with them.
I know. It's terrible.
Well,
It's
Blue is so
absolutely terrible.
cute. I mean, what an
she's
adorable
sweetheart.
dog.
I know.
She's so big now.
I know. I can't believe it.
For the listeners, Blue is for her blue eyes. Stunning adorableness.
Yeah, Blue is a whippet. The Greyhound family. So you have the Greyhounds, which usually range about 50 to 60 pounds. And then you have the whippets, who are a medium-sized dog. And they go from anywhere between 20 and 30. And then you have the Italian Greyhounds, which are the small breed. And they can be 10, 15 pounds. But they're really jumpy. So I've come to realize that the larger their dog, the more calm the dog is, for sure, because Blue has a lot more energy than the two Greyhounds did when I had them. So, but they're great.
You got Blue as a baby. She was just a little, and that makes all the difference in the world.
Oh, it does. So it was interesting because when I was thinking about getting Blue, it was one of those things where I had to make a decision if I wanted to adopt, if I wanted to go to a breeder, if I wanted a puppy, if I wanted a, 4-year-old. It was a hard decision to make, which brings us to our topic today, which is how we make decisions. And the reason why we decided to talk about this was because last week we talked about Judge Comey Barrett and asking the question if she can be unbiased on the court. So we thought, all right, well, we dabbed into that a little bit. But let's take a step backwards and say, well, how do we make decisions? And so that's what Kim and I are going to talk about today. I don't know if we have all the answers, but we'll give you our thoughts anyway.
I can't decide.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's funny because we make decisions all the time. Our decisions range from little trivial issues to, they could be life-changing decisions, right? You could go from what you're going to have for lunch that day, and then if you're going to get married tomorrow. I mean, they can range from very trivial stuff that we do all the time without thinking, and then big life-changing, decisions as well. And there's a lot, I think, that goes in play with that. But when I make decisions, I came up with 3 ways that I make decisions. And I wanted to ask you if you thought about how you made decisions. But my 3 ways that I make decisions is through my intuition. So it's my gut feeling. Other way I make a decision is through reasoning, using facts, right? And then the third way is a combination of both. So I was curious to see if you've given any thought to how you make decisions, Kim.
Similarly,
Yeah?
there is it seems like some things I go a lot more gut intuition. And one thing I do a lot of is thinking things through. Like I sometimes overthink things. You didn't mention emotion or feelings, but that comes into play because our emotions drive our decision making. We may think that they don't, but in the end, you go with what you feel is right. And it's a large equation in our decisions. So how I feel about something plays a part of it too. But I will say, depending on the subject, sometimes one thing weighs out more than another. But I try to connect with each aspect of my decision making process, how I feel about it, what my intuition, my gut feeling, and my intellect. Though I will say one thing that I always tell people: feelings are not facts. And so when you feel something's true, you got to check the facts.
Yes, that is correct. I agree with you. But I was thinking though, it's not so much the decision and how I decide what to do. It's the number of problems that can prevent myself from making an effective decision. So what are those problems is what I was thinking of. Like when I have a problem making a decision, what's the problem that I'm usually having? And I was thinking about that this morning, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's because there's not enough information, right? Maybe I don't have enough information. Maybe I fall into that, like you mentioned, that analysis paralysis stuff where it's like it's too much information, right? So I'm never going to make a decision because I've got way too many things to think about. The other thing I was thinking of, you mentioned emotions, but it's that emotional attachment, right? If I have a really strong feeling about something, I might lead the decision based on that feeling as opposed to allowing my gut or, allowing the facts to present themselves to make the best decision. So I think those things are problems that come up when we make a decision. Other things like, my vested interest in something, right? It's like, what do I have interest in? Or invested interest of other people. Like I was thinking about Judge Comey Barrett, and I thought she's going to be up there making decisions, and there's going to be people in a larger group that she's going to affect that have a vested interest in that topic that she's going to be voting on. So that's something she has to think about. And things that she doesn't have an emotional attachment to, or even me, that I don't have an emotional attachment to, things that I could really care about what happens, right? I think that has problems. I think my belief structure, my values, I think those can play a part in my decisions that I make, and can also be a problem in the decision I make as well, because I'm restricted by my beliefs and my values. And sometimes I allow those to drive my decision making rather than me thinking things through or that kind of thing. So I don't know. Those are just some of the things that I was thinking of today. It's like the decision itself isn't the problem. It's the problems that we have in making the decision that sometimes get in the way with a sound decision.
I'm just processing what you've said. And and as I consume your wonderful words, what comes to mind is the fact that bias isn't necessarily bad. In the end, we're trying to do things to protect ourselves. It's just to what lengths are we going to protect ourselves? So we may think, oh, I'm really thinking this through, but our brain is tricky. It has a way of filtering things to turn them into a decision that benefits us. It's kind of like the scientist who has this hypothesis, and as the data comes in, when they try and test this hypothesis, do they kind of filter out the data to support the hypothesis, or do they, let the data come in and let it be and not have that emotional attachment to the hypothesis? Which you like to say, oh, you don't, I'm a scientist, I'm this, I'm that, but we're human. So I kind of think that looking to other people who might disagree with us to get their feedback is really, or who are not vested in an outcome, is where you're going to get the best information or feedback to challenge what you might be thinking or feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Allowing ourselves to be open for someone else's perspective is important because they might have an insight on a particular issue that I can't see because of my own investment in that issue. So, yeah, it does make sense.
Well, we're definitely pulling from the storehouse of data in our brain, right?
Yeah.
This is why seeking out non-confirming opinions is so beneficial, and listening to it, because we all think what we're doing works. And even in our business experience, hearing feedback that is not confirming our opinion of ourselves gives us information that we can then look at and determine if they're right or wrong. Trying to get the viewpoint, like literally be in that person's shoes and seeing what they're seeing, because there's some value to it. I am shocked how many people don't want to hear feedback. They don't want to hear anything bad about themselves. Just tell me what you like, tell me what's good, and how do you ever improve? So you're just piling on the limited data that you've got in your brain and not adding new data. And any decision we make is based on the data in our individual brain.
Now, that's a good point. And it goes back to what I said earlier that we need to allow ourselves to be open to someone else's perspective. Because if we don't, then we will make decisions based on similar decisions that we've made in the past. And this kind of pattern limits us to our own perspective and doesn't allow us room for growth on a broader understanding of a particular issue.
Which leads me to another point about decision making.
Yes.
We have this all or nothing type of approach to stuff. We tend to group things together. So we put them into a concept. So you have a bad experience with a store. So you assume now that all experiences within that store are going to be bad because of that one, and you don't go back. I'm guilty of this. You get stuck in this.
Oh, me too.
One experience with a person, with a species, with an ethnic group, with a political group. It's an all nothing. So one person's this way, everybody's this way. They have one thought that goes in a certain direction, so all their thoughts go into this direction. And that, in putting together our decisions and assumptions about others, gets us into a lot of trouble. So we need to be able to pull back and look at situations individually and not holistically, which is a challenge. But that's the joy of being a human, is that we have that capability. My little dog doesn't, but we have this ability to say, hey, that was this one experience. It's not all experiences. we should be grateful for this capability and use it more often.
I don't even know what to say to that because that was really good. And I'm sitting here on the other side of the mic with my hand in the air going, yes, go, go. But it's true, though. We have such an ability and we can make such a difference by just making the decision to use the right words or make the decision to behave in a way that not only respects yourself, but respects others. And we get lazy because we're used to behaving or speaking in a certain way that it becomes natural. And we rarely have anything that stops us in the track and says, hey, John, respond a different way. Hey, John, react a different way. You might get a different result. And I think that taking that pause for a moment and saying, and doing a little analysis yourself, at the end of the decision saying, well, did I make the right decision? Well, create yourself a list and says, did my decision benefit me? Did it benefit others? Did it benefit both? And not saying that you have to change the way you make decisions to only benefit yourself or only benefit others, but see if there's a pattern there. See if the decisions that you make in life, maybe they're never about you. Maybe they're always about everybody else. And that can tell you about how you make decisions. You make decisions based on how other people feel. Maybe you have a nice mixture of both. The point is not necessarily knowing the answer. It's understanding, giving you more fuel for your fire, giving you a little bit more understanding about how you go about it in the world and how, you make your decisions. And what does that say about you?
Yeah, I like to think of it as, are you living in Zoom mode? We're on we have cameras. My friends and I have always joked like, oh, I wished I had a camera in my eye so that in these strange situations I could take a photo and share it with people later. But hey, our eyes are cameras feeding data to our brains, right?
Yep.
In Zoom mode, that means we're highly focused on one aspect of a scene with a lot else going on around it. And I think that the majority of us live in Zoom mode. We're super hyper focused, and that is what we base our decision on. So if we come out of Zoom mode or get in the habit of changing the focus and bringing it back and enhancing or enlarging the landscape, it might help us to see more and impact our decisions.
So that's interesting that you say that, because I think I said this before in one of our early podcasts. A lady that I was coaching at one time said to me that she was bored with the same thing every day, every day, every day. She got up and she did this. After she finished this task, she went on to the next task. After she finished that task, she went on to the next one. And it was the same all the time. And one of the things that drove her nuts was taking her kids to school because it was so boring. She drove the same road. She saw the same people. She knew how long it was going to take. And she goes, I just wish that would be different. If that one moment could be different, it would be great. I said, go a different way. She said, huh? And I said, go a different way. And she was like, now, why didn't I think of that? I said, I don't know. That's why you came to me, I guess. But the point is, go a different way, change it up. Like you said,
get out of
step
Zoom
back,
mode.
get out of Zoom mode, and you'll find that you have a lot more things to look at, more things to take in, more experiences. You'll have different experiences, and those things will help make decisions that benefit you and others.
Yeah, that was blatantly obvious and yet not, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that's how we live our life. And you said it you were right on topic. We live our life, and I like the example you used. We live our life on Zoom mode, and we rarely step out of it. But once we do, it's like, wow, there's a whole new world that I didn't even know existed. Even in my daily routine, there can be a whole new routine that I never even knew existed. And it was just by taking a different way.
Yeah.
Or redirecting.
Yeah. Or enhancing, I go back to what I was saying last week, enhancing our vocabulary, enhancing our experiences, challenging ourselves. It doesn't matter if you want to listen to an opposing viewpoint politically or spiritually, or maybe just physical challenges, things that open you up to what you maybe believed you couldn't do something, and now you find out you can. And it just impacts who you are in such wonderful ways. Every experience, every experience I've ever had, even the very worst ones, have always brought me a learning experience and an expansion of who I am as a human being.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And, you know, depending on the type of experience it is, it's going to have an impact on those around you.
So I think that's the new phrase. We need to tell people, get out of Zoom mode.
If you can't get out of it completely, take 10 minutes to get out of it. Just start taking small steps to get out of Zoom mode and just have a different perspective.
Yeah. Take in more than what you're focused on.
There you go. All right. Well, listen, Kim, have a great week.
You too, John.
Thanks. And our listeners, thank you guys for joining us every week. We really, really appreciate it.
And if anybody out there is feeling low and needs a smile, John and I are happy to contribute photos of our puppies because they make us smile every single day.
Yes, they do. All right, Kim. I'll talk to you later. Have a good week.
You too. Bye. Bye, everyone. And thank you.
Bye-bye. New shows are available every Saturday right here on heartmindify.podbean.com or wherever you listen. Kim and I would like to thank each and every one of you for allowing us to be a small part of your life. Be kind to yourself and remember, our hearts tell the story, but our mind is the conductor.